Welcome back to TikTok Farming. So this week I want to share with you a bit about the infrastructure behind hitting the 50 million views with zero paid ads on TikTok. And the magic is these devices. Now we tested across a lot of devices and we found out that if the foundation is not strong, the structure doesn't stand. These are the devices we came to finally unlock the views on TikTok. Now this is where I share all the learnings we went through and help you avoid all the mistakes we made so that you can get the sauce directly from the source. Welcome back to TikTok Farming. Today we're going to talk a bit about the devices and what actually works. Now in my inbox in X, all the time I receive the question Android or Apple, or how many accounts can I set up per device, how many accounts are going to get flagged, how do you set the first account, how do you set the second account, etc. Well, today we're going to break all of that down. I'll tell you about what is the right device to use, and then I'll tell you also how many accounts can safely operate on a single device after you link it up with a proxy. So let's dive into it. Let's begin with this. So as we can see on the left side, emulators, plap, it's a straight dead. Why are they dead? An emulator is a phone's OS which is being represented on the cloud. It's not an actual phone device. And on the other side, a real hardware is an actual phone device, probably the one you're looking at this video out of right now. Now the reason emulators are a hard no is because TikTok detects virtualized hardware instantly. Remember, TikTok's job is to ensure that bots are not pushing traffic onto TikTok, which means they don't want fucking around with online emulators which are driving a lot of crazy amount of traffic. Why are phones more secure for TikTok? Because any device you're purchasing, no matter which device is it, Android or iOS, you need to spend a baseline dollars to make that happen. Meanwhile, you can set up emulators online for pennies. Right, so TikTok knows that if you're spending $50 for a device, there will be some kind of a harder investment, and it's one layer of the many layers TikTok has in place. Now, emulators are completely throttled when you start putting them out and they get silently banned. I've seen this time and over again. So if someone is trying to sell you an emulator solution, do not buy it. On the other side, hardware is farm survivable. Not only me, if you go across X, you'll find that it's been tested by dozens and hundreds of operators, and time over time it is proved that emulators are strict dead, hardware is strict alive. Now this is only the first step. You're going to move into the second steps and I'm going to show you what goes behind the right hardware. iPhone wins hands over heels as compared to Android. What is the reason behind it? One, iPhone has sign-in with Apple, which provides more validation and trust to TikTok as compared to Android, where you log in with Google usually, which means you could technically do it from any device, even online. So there's less first-class authentication placed along with an Android device. Secondly, iPhones have consistent device IDs. OEM variations are very few. As we know, there are only a few iPhones models out there, and the fingerprint is more predictable for TikTok. On the other hand, with Android, there's a lot of OEM variation noise. It's harder to standardize across a farm. And the last one, iPhones have been proven at scale. Check into anyone who has run a proper farm at scale, they will be utilizing iPhones. I haven't heard of a single time anyone is just plugging in a farm with Android because it just fails more. Which iPhone model should we get? Should we get the latest iPhone 17 Pro Max that came on because it gives us better status and TikTok is going to like us more? Well, it doesn't fucking matter. It is about the infrastructure in place. Once you get an iPhone, you're placed under the same buckets. Now I'm going to show you which iPhone is preferable. So try to avoid iPhone 7 and under because iOS is unstable. It's probably going to be rolled out through a lot of apps soon. You cannot run the latest TikTok reliably and too old to standardize. On the other hand, iPhone 8 to 12 is the sweet spot. iOS is stable, it's going to last a couple of more years. Also, another important factor is that it's cheap to buy and replace. Right, if you buy a phone right now and you have to replace it within 6 months, it's not really going to help you build a farm. You'll just be spending money trying to get a new phone. Now, also in this case, between 8 to 12, the hardware is predictable, easy full factory reset. Now, I recommend iPhone 8 is the minimum viable phone which you need to do farming. Do not go lower than that, otherwise it'll be really hard for you to manage a farm. And the last one, iPhone 13 Plus. Now, in my honest opinion, unless you want a better camera to take your selfies, it doesn't really matter. So it doesn't matter if you're getting between 8 to 12 or you're going for 13 and above. What I would recommend is do not do that. If you lose a phone, if the phone IDs are flagged, there'll be a higher replacement cost. and spending more will not help you with the reach. So keep this in mind. But spending more doesn't help you with the reach. iPhone 8 is the farmer favorite. That's how I would label it. I hope Apple pays me a commission after that. But iPhone 8 is the farmer favorite. This is the one I would recommend if you're trying to set up your own farm. Now that since you're talking about it, average cost of an iPhone 8 is roughly $80. I know Android is going to be cheaper, but we already discussed the reason why Android is not the best device. Go with the $80 iPhone and begin from there. Easy to replace as well, right? You're not spending a couple of hundred or thousands even to get a phone, so you can swap it if it breaks down. Then let's talk a bit about getting a new versus refurbished phone. Now, in my honest opinion, and I think a new phone is cool. It's clean by default, which means no prior Apple IDs, no residual data, no contamination risk. But generally, I think as farmers, we should not be that worried about the clean signal of a new phone. A refurbished phone is going to be fine if you reset it properly, make sure it goes back to its factory settings. Bad refurb would lead to a pre-linked device, would lead to a poisoned account. We've already had this before where we had to reset 5 phones. I don't want you to do that. So when you get a phone, the first thing you do is take the device and click on reset to factory setting. Every single piece of information should be reset on the device. Make sure this is the first thing you do. Now that we know which phone is the best one to use, which model should we get a new versus refurbished phone, I'm going to talk about the most important thing. I know you all want to maximize on your dollar. Every money you spend, you want to be loading up 50 different accounts on the same phone. Do not do that. Ideal scenario for you is to put up 3 accounts on one phone. So you've got one phone here, put up 3 accounts on that. Second ideal scenario is to have 5 accounts as a hard ceiling. Now you're going to ask me the question, Ankit, why is it 5 accounts, right? Why can't I just be loading on account after account of account? Well, that is because what happens is when you have more than 3 accounts, the chance of one account getting flagged is higher. I mean, think about probability. Because you've got more accounts, the chance of one of the accounts being shadow banned for something naughty you do is going to be higher. When that happens, that ends up linking all the accounts, resulting in your whole phone going boom. We don't want that, right? Because you have to replace a phone again and again and again and again and again. So 3 accounts is the ideal limit at which TikTok functions really well. The chance of accounts getting flagged is quite low as well. 5 is a hard ceiling. I would not recommend going higher than this. And if you try doing 6+ accounts, you'll notice that TikTok will start logging you out. So it's going to take you out of one account. You'll have to go to the other one. You'll be taken out of that one. Then you'll have to go to the other one. And you'll have to do this login, log out all over again. 5 accounts, hard ceiling, 3 accounts, ideal. Now that we know how many accounts are the hard limits, let's move towards the end where I give you the secret sauce, which is going to come in the next few chapters. Or if you want, you can always go and buy the playbook where everything is detailed precisely. So you don't have to listen to me on YouTube for the next 32 weeks. Instead, you could just have everything in the playbook in front of you. Now, before we finish, remember the right device, right limit, everything else is noise. And why is infrastructure important? It's because if your building doesn't have the right foundation, if your farm doesn't have the right foundation, then brrr, it's all going to come crashing down. And we don't want that. We want you to print money. Now, next week, I'm going to be talking a bit about SIM, eSIM or no SIM. What do we do over there? I will see you then. Thank you.